how's it going? Today I'm talking about the Z17. This is MSI's newer device that was just launched just this year. Last year they had the Z16, and I did use that laptop a lot and I really liked it. There was a lot of cons. It was more of a creator laptop. I mean, that's what they advertise as. This is no different. This is a creator focused laptop, but I've been kind of using it the way I would typically use any laptop, which is a combination of gaming, doing some Excel work, email, just taking care of like random small tasks like work and stuff. And it's not my dedicated work laptop, but I have been using it to work. I've also used it to do like BS YouTube stuff like edit videos and do some Lightroom work and stuff like that. But with that being said, I really feel like I've spent enough time with this laptop to give a good review of it. This is your typical aluminum build, which is really high quality. The grade seems as good as something that would come out of Razer or, dare I say, the MacBook or the XPS line of laptops. I would kind of say that the styling kind of resembles a bit of the XPS line and a bit of the MacBook. So the design, but there's still some aspects that I kind of want them to tighten up a little bit in terms of the aesthetics, and that'll just be my opinion, but I'll get into those as I see them. The front lid is really nice. It's just really plain and understated. The entire color is like a gunmetal gray. I dig it. I do like the look of it. And at the bottom, this is kind of where the build to me falls apart just a little bit, but I just feel like the bottom kind of loses a bit of the premium edge. Just the way that the screw layout is, there's some towards the back and then some towards the middle, and it looks like there's two different back panels that may need to be removed to get into there. I don't know. It just kind of takes away from the premium look, and I just hope that's something that they can address next year. I mean, I'm being pretty picky on this product because I don't talk about pricing too much because it varies significantly by region, and especially when specs are concerned too. But here in the United States, this laptop goes from $2,500 to over $4,000. And you can see at the back that there's lots of ventilation. There's ventilation on the sides, and there's only a few ports. Usually for a thin and light laptop, this is about what you can expect. But you're getting one USB type A. It's on the right side. I typically prefer that to be on the left, just so my mouse doesn't interfere with the cable and such. And you're also getting an SD card slot and an HDMI, and the HDMI actually hooks up directly to the GPU, so you can connect this to your TV or a supported monitor, and you won't be limited by the bottlenecks of Optimus. However, and this is what I'm very disappointed about, both Type-C ports are Thunderbolt, which is good, but they're both connected to the iGPU. And if I didn't build myself a computer, this would have been a deal breaker for me. There's many times when I want to game on my dedicated gaming monitor, and if you use the display ports, or in this case the Thunderbolt ports, you're limited to Optimus, so you have to deal with all the bottlenecks that Optimus brings, which includes increased latency. You won't be able to use NVIDIA G-Sync, and you'll get reduced performance, which is the opposite of why you would typically want to connect to a monitor. So that's a big knock for me, and I don't think that should be tolerated in any laptop. But not necessarily related to ports, this includes Windows Hello, and it has a fingerprint scanner, which I do like. There are some times when I'm not sitting directly in front of the laptop where Windows Hello won't recognize me, and because of that, especially, I'm glad they included a fingerprint reader. And then right next to the fingerprint scanner is the trackpad, and this trackpad is amazing. To me, their trackpads always perform very well. This one in particular is large, it glides very well, and it seems super fast and responsive. Better than the competition for sure. Okay, so and then next I want to spend some time on the keyboard. It's amazing. Love the typeface or the typography, or I don't know what the right word here, but pretty much the font on the keycaps it looks really artsy and get sophisticated. It's really a pleasure to look at. And I love that there's a full numpad. As an accountant, dealing with numbers all day, it's actually really important for me. And even if I'm not working on this laptop, just having it and being able to punch in phone numbers if I'm typing it to someone, or if I'm putting in my PIN code, or if I'm on the bank and I just want to pull up the calculator and start calculating some stuff. I really just like having a numpad. I know a lot of you guys don't. But the key travel is really nice, and it's got a nice clicky and yet quiet, almost silent, but yet tactile feel to it. It destroys the competition in terms of thin and light laptops. I like this way better than I did with the Dell XPS 17. I like this way better than the MacBook keyboard. And obviously the Razer keyboard is kind of in last place, but not terrible. It's not unusable, but still last place. I think Alienware's Cherry MX switches are a bit better, but they're louder, and the secondary function keys don't light up. And that's something that a lot of users complain about in the comments, and I typically don't tackle, so I'm going to try to do that. Thankfully, everything is illuminated on this laptop, so all of the secondary and the function keys are lit up, so you can see them perfectly at nighttime, and it really makes life easier. I think that's something that all laptop makers should start implementing on all of their devices. I have heard in interviews and such that it's not really easy to do. It's a lot more difficult to manufacture than we might think it is. And I obviously don't have much experience in that area, but it's something that I hope that they can work towards. Okay, so let's start talking about the display, which is my favorite section. We're getting 100% sRGB, 87% Adobe RGB, 97% DCI-P3, and 85% NTSC. All these numbers are fine for a creative laptop. I do wish the Adobe RGB numbers were a little bit higher. 87% is fine. You just kind of want to be closer to 95 if you're a photographer, and especially if you set your camera to Adobe RGB when it comes to raw files. And I do notice the difference when I'm editing large photos in RAW, especially on like a Sony a7R IV, and now I kind of moved on to the a7 IV, and bouncing between different displays, especially when I'm editing photos, it really starts to make a difference in terms of how I edit my file and how the final one looks. So I have noticed that I get my best results when I'm using something else like 100% Adobe RGB screen. Like last year's Razer Blade 17 was really close to 100% Adobe RGB. The Dell XPS 17 is 100% Adobe RGB. Ironically, the MacBook, which is also a creative laptop, is only DCI-P3. I'm definitely talking to the niche here, but I definitely like to see a higher gamut on a creator laptop. I was a bit surprised that the gamma measured outside of 2.2, so that's something you might want to run a colorimeter on this if you're very particular about accurate colors. I love seeing accurate colors and perfectly calibrated displays. I care about intent. And now on to the brightness. The lowest brightness setting is 19.6 nits. The contrast is just okay. I guess I could have hoped for better. But for this particular type of panel, and seeing that it's fairly bright, this is kind of par for the course when it comes to displays, unless you're talking about a mini LED panel, which my Zephyrus Duo shipped. It should be here within a few days, so I'm going to be doing a review on that. I'm really excited for that one, so if you want to see that, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you. So anyway, minimum brightness is at 19.6 nits. That's fairly dim. I wish it was a little bit dimmer when you're in a pitch black room, but it's fine for what it is. And the brightness ramps up all the way to a maximum of 408 nits, and I think that's fairly acceptable. Again, I feel especially where creator laptops are concerned, the technology is getting a lot better between OLEDs getting better and mini LEDs becoming a thing now. I think this display is great for 2022, but I'm thinking in 2023 and going forward, we're going to start to see better OLED screens and better mini LED screens. But anyway, enough about the numbers. Subjectively, I'm digging this screen. I like that it's glossy, makes it appear sharper and colors seem a bit more saturated. I'm definitely on the camp where I prefer glossy displays. I'm glad this has it. And I'm also glad that it's a touchscreen too, and it is a very, very, very responsive touchscreen. It's like tablet-like, which, you can't always say that about Windows laptops. They're hit or miss. So I also have the Z17, and the touch response just really isn't that strong on that one. I'm thinking about doing a review on it, and I also have the XG Mobile. If that's something you want to see, also leave me a like and a comment. There's already some videos on it, so I don't know how much value I can add, but if that's something you want to see, just yeah, let me know. And the contrast looks really nice to me. It does look a bit low in certain scenes, but overall, I think that this is a great display. And this resolution, I know it's 1440p, or it's essentially a 1440p display that's taller. And I was wondering if I would be able to tell that it's not 4K, because especially at 17 inches, the only time I really notice that it's a lower PPI is when I get really close to the screen, which I don't typically do. Oh, and I guess another cool thing is the screen folds completely flat. And I know in some regions that's important for collaborating and and sharing a screen together. Oh, one thing that sets this apart from any other creator slash productivity laptop is the display has 165 hertz, so it actually makes it very capable for gaming. And speaking of gaming, this is not a gaming laptop. You can game on it, but it wasn't designed for that exclusively, and I'll kind of get into that. First of all, it gets really hot. It's uncomfortable to game on. Even the keycaps get hot. The W key gets really hot because that's really close to where the heat pipes are. It gets so hot that it really just takes you out of the experience. And don't try gaming with this on your lap or video editing with this on your lap. It'll actually burn you, and I feel like it's close enough to almost cause an injury. And and this is something I really can't just portray on words, but you really just have to trust me on this. And this is kind of something that just, you could hear someone talk about it, but until you actually experience how uncomfortable this is to game on, that's probably the only time when you'll listen to me when it's too late. You've already ordered this. It burns your entire hand. And if you're trying to be immersed in a game, or if you're trying to concentrate because you're playing competitively, the entire surface of this laptop really distracts you and takes you out of it. And also there's no mux switch, so you get all of the limitations of Optimus, including higher latency and lower performance in CPU heavy games. I think something like this is fine if you have a dedicated gaming device and you just want a creator slash productivity laptop that you might want to game on if you're in a hotel room or somewhere away from your primary setup. But don't buy this as a dedicated gaming laptop. There's just way too many actual gaming laptops that can also do creative productivity tasks. Okay, so next I want to talk about the noise. The silent profile isn't silent. Even when the system is idle, I kind of wish that they use a vapor chamber that they apparently use in the Z16, but I'm always hearing the fan. It's not whining or hissing or there's any type of motor noise, but I'm just hearing the fan spinning constantly. But crank it up and use the max performance setting in the MSI Pro app, then the fans do get louder. They don't get as loud as a typical gaming laptop like the z17. The temperatures though, and I think that this is where this laptop really starts to fall apart. When I was gaming, the GPU was going all the way up to 86 degrees, which is in throttle territory, and I don't think you should really be seeing GPU temperatures going up that high. The CPU is constantly sitting in the high 80s, and when it's under full load, obviously it throttles because this is such a thin laptop. And it throttles really fast, so it's constantly throttling throughout the entire process, so that kind of slows performance down a little bit. I don't think it's enough to where most people will notice, but I mean, obviously, if you're comparing several different laptops like I am, then you kind of do experience lower frame rates, and especially if I'm playing Halo, after like 15-20 minutes, the frame rates will start to go down and they won't come back up, and it's due to the thermal throttling. So I mean, another reason why this isn't a great gaming laptop, and even for productivity apps, like if you're using Adobe Premiere, you're gonna get lower performance in that because of the throttling. I don't think it's enough for the everyday person to notice, but if this is something you're concerned about, then that's probably why you're watching a long detailed review like this. And this is something for you to be concerned about. But overall, these temperatures get so hot that it's actually concerning me. But if you were curious about how this laptop games, I have ran some numbers. So I connected this through HDMI to my LG OLED TV to ensure that I'm using dedicated graphics mode. I wanted to test the full capabilities of this laptop. Alright, so the first one, let's talk about Guardians of the Galaxy. We got the Z17 in last place, even lower than the Gigabyte Aero 16. And it's, even though they're both 3070 Ti parts, the MSI Z17 only runs at 95 watts TGP. So that's one reason, and another reason why you're seeing lower performance is the thermal throttling. Alright, and here in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, you're seeing this in second to last place, just kind of barely beating out the ROG G14 with a 6700. Okay, so let's talk battery. Just from normal use, you can probably get 4 to 5 hours on this. If you open up Lightroom or Adobe Premiere, 1.5 to 2 hours, and the performance really starts to take a dip. This is something where MacBooks are much stronger at when it comes to on-the-go productivity and creativity. Overall battery life on your best day, you're getting 5 hours. This is an issue with Intel 12th gen parts. Hopefully next year's 13 gens can do much better because Apple is gaining a lot of ground and their laptops are really, really good for creativity. I can imagine most folks who don't need Windows or don't game are probably just going to go for a Mac. I mean, it unfortunately for me to say it's a smarter choice unless you're a gamer or unless you just prefer Windows. One thing I didn't talk about though were the speakers, and this is where the reviews really starts to go sour. I'm very disappointed in these speakers. There's 4 of them, which should be sufficient. The Scar 17 that I have right now sounds pretty good with 4 speakers, but with the Z17, they're all down facing. So when it's on your lap, it's a muffled mess. When it's on a smooth surface, it sounds a bit better, but never good. The mids don't sound clear, and there's just no bass. It kind of really just sounds tinny. And I'm starting to see a pattern here. It uses DTS audio processing. I have not used a laptop that sounded decent with DTS. Acer and Gigabyte use them, and they both sound bad. Any laptop I've used with Dolby sounds good. That's mostly Asus and the X17. THX and Razors, they sound good. Really good, actually. The Waves software on the Dell XPS sounds good as well. And the HEMIC sounds fine, which is on the Legion and what MSI uses on the GE series. I don't know why they didn't just stick with Nahimic. I'm really thinking it's DTS that's just not able to process the sound. I don't know why MSI chose to go with DTS here, but it's not giving a good sound experience. This laptop should have had much better speakers at this price point. I think this product is decent for a first generation product. I mean, but I think there's a lot of work for MSI to do before it would really push you towards wanting to spend a good amount of money on this particular device. I feel like maybe next year or the end of the year when they start to go on sale and you're starting to see these for maybe $2,300 US or below, then maybe I would consider it. But especially on the high end, when these things go up to over $4,000, I just cannot support buying that because this one only has a 12700 and a 3070 Ti. Those have even higher end parts, but the same power output. So I doubt either, first of all, you're going to notice a difference with the more expensive hardware. But on top of that, it's probably going to increase the temperatures even more. So I don't know. I guess I kind of have to leave it here at that. I don't think this is a terrible laptop. I just don't think that this is worth the premium. Alright, but I do have other stuff coming. So if you did like this content, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.